time, let's get into the entire weekend that happened in downtown Cleveland, whether it was at the Agora Theater, whether it was outside Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, whether it was at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, whether it was in downtown Cleveland, Cleveland Brown Stadium, WWE SummerSlam. Now, me and Josh, before we get into the show itself, I want us each both to sort of talk about our experiences being down at this event, being at First Energy Stadium, seeing wrestling in a stadium for the first time. Now, my story, if you haven't heard Brandon's World today, you can go check out the full story on there. I'm probably not going to rehash every single detail of it because it is going to be about a 5 to 10 minute story, probably a little bit longer. So, Josh, I'll let you decide. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
So with me, I had a lot of anxiety going into it because I know with stadium shows, WWE tends to go way over the top with their usage of pyrotechnics. We've seen that from them at SummerSlam in the past and WrestleMania and some of their other big stadium shows, Royal Rumble. So that gave me a lot of anxiety. But the main reason I ended up going was because we were in a Lowe's. So I had that luxury of being able to step away during certain wrestlers' entrances if I didn't feel comfortable. So, I didn't see Rhea Ripley's entrance during her match with Liv Morgan. I did not see Damian Priest's entrance when he had his match with Gunther. And I skipped the entire entrance for Seth and Drew McIntyre for that match. But it was just amazing to be in that stadium. Every match delivered in some fashion. It's a little weird, though, that every match was singles. There was no tag team match. There was no triple threat match. There was no, 6-person tag team match. And you only had one non-title match. Me personally, I'm more into the non-title feuds rather than the championship feuds. I just feel like the non-title feuds get a little more personal and a little more intense, if you will. Not to say title feuds can't get personal and intense, but in general, I just find non-title feuds to amp it up a little bit more. So, but that being said, my favorite match was Gunther versus Damian Priest because the promos they were cutting on each other leading up to the match were fantastic. And I get it. Roman Reigns returning during the Bloodline Rules match was huge, but my personal favorite moment of SummerSlam was during Gunther versus Damian Priest when Finn Balor put Gunther's foot on the rope and Damian Priest is like, wait, why didn't I win? He looks up at the scoreboard, or the Jumbotron, I should say, and he saw it when the rest of us did, or when everybody on TV basically saw it, that Finn Balor had put Gunther's foot on the bottom rope. And that, for me, that was my favorite moment.
Okay. Before I get to my favorite moment and everything that you talked about, Josh, I'm going to break down what happened. This is the day of SummerSlam. And what a little bit before to give you guys a backstory. So, when I purchased SummerSlam tickets when they went on sale early spring, I think it was early May when it occurred, I had gotten non-ADA seats just to get whatever seats I could for the event and figure that I could turn them into ADA seats more accessible for myself at some point. So I ended up doing that. And because I paid such a premium for the non-ADA seats, for the same price for these new seats that I upgraded, which were field level. And Josh, when I took a look at your Instagram post when you were talking about the whole scenario on Sunday, I realized that where I was sitting, you were in the suite above me, ironically.
Really?
Yes. You had the same view I did.
Oh,
I was on the field and you were in the suites above me.
huh.
So, to make a long story short, I get a parking pass. I get this all you can eat food inclusive in the field level, like these really nice seats that would go for about $2,500 a piece for a Browns game. Um, we get down to the stadium. The parking pass that we had gotten for the event could not work because the lot that we were supposed to park in was blocked off. For whatever reason, the city blocked it off. Nobody knew why. Everybody was complaining because there was absolutely no parking down there whatsoever. So we ended up paying for parking. We ended up getting into the stadium. This is where the story gets wild. So bear with me here for a couple minutes. We go to the place where they tell us to go, which is across the way from section 102. You take the elevator down to this club suite level, which we do. When we get down there, this man tells us that there are no seats down there, that we have to go back up to section 136. We show them the seats, we show them everything. They're asking people if they need to get escorted. We say we need to get escorted because that's what it says. The guy would not want us. He made us go up to 136. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for the elevator to go up to 136, downstairs on that field level, I meet somebody who you may know very well by the name of Vic Joseph, NXT play by play announcer. We take a picture with Vic, very cool guy. He's talking to us about the situation because we're very confused at this point. Vic told us that he's been in the stadium for years and that we're right where we need to be, and he has no idea why that guy is telling us to go upstairs. But we do go upstairs. We walk around the stadium, and where we were going was right where the entire merchandise stand was at SummerSlam. So the line was just insane. There was just people not moving for whatever reason. It was a disaster, and it was probably about 6:15 at this point. So we go to section 136. They tell us no, we have to go back down to the field level. We go back down to the field level. We do the same thing over again. They tell us again we have to go back up to 136. You see where I'm going with this? It is a circus over and over and over again. To make a long story short, we finally get somebody that knows what they're doing. They take us down through the access where we should have been all along. But while we were going through there, they thought we had to take another elevator down instead of going up. When we took the elevator down, Josh, you know where we were at? When I when I came out of the elevator, I knew exactly where we were at because I saw the equipment. I was literally backstage at SummerSlam.
Oh, wow.
I was backstage. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre walk right past me. Cody Rhodes in the distance, my brother, who again is not the biggest wrestling fan in the world, but he knows who Cody Rhodes is screaming like a girl that that's Cody Rhodes. We see Rhea Ripley and Dom as they're about to go up to the Gorilla. So at that point, we knew they were going to start the show. It was like 6:50 at this point. We see Rhea and Dom with a camera crew following them going up to Gorilla. I'm backstage. They tell us we can't go that way, obviously, out there. So we turn all the way back around. We go out to the field level. And once we get out to the field level, they still don't know where our seats were. We did not get in our seats till about 7:30. And on my way to the field level, I did not see him. My brother told me he saw him and got a picture of him. We have Miz walking right past me and Joey Roll walking right past me as they finish that concert. And Joey Roll was riding on a golf cart right past me.
Huh. I thought you were going to say your brother got a picture of Roman Reigns.
No. So all of that and more. On top of that, we had a great time. The seats were great. I enjoyed the show. It was a hell of a show. After the show, we were waiting for them to get a manual wheelchair for me to get through all of the crowds. That took them about 30 minutes. And during that time, we were just sitting up in the stands. The show ended at 11 o'clock on the dot. We did not leave our seats till about 11:45, and I watched the entire ring get taken down.
Huh.
So that was my SummerSlam experience. Absolutely surreal. On top of that, just to backtrack a little bit, um, I was at the Agora on Friday to see the Damian Priest documentary live and a live Q&A with the Judgment Day. And sitting right behind me is the family of Damian Priest.
Oh, wow.
His brother, his sister, I think his dad, maybe, I don't know, his whole family was there. He pointed them out while they're doing the live Q&A, so that was cool.
And Gunther was there, and he trashed him.
Gunther was there. That was a surprise. CM Punk was there as well, which was another surprise. Now, we were not allowed to take photos and videos at that event. That was an intimate setting that you would have your phone in a locked pocket until after the event was over. So that was that. I ended up going to the Superstore, which I got a lot of cool merch. It was incredible down in Tower City.
I did not go to the Superstore. In fact, I didn't purchase any memorabilia from SummerSlam.
We also went to the kickoff show. We were a little bit to the left of the stage, so I don't think you could have saw us on Peacock, but we were a little bit to the left of the stage during the kickoff show outside of Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. That was an incredible experience. And then Friday Night SmackDown was a really good show. It was great to be there. That was one of, well, I'll tell you what, live was different. The crowd was energized. I don't know if you could tell it on TV, but that crowd was loud.
I heard they piped in crowd noise for Alba Fire and Isla Dawn.
I don't know what they did on TV. I could tell you it was loud in there. And I could tell you the whole show, people were going nuts. And I've never seen Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse that packed to the gill for a wrestling event. And it felt like a more international crowd.
Hey, Tony Khan, see, Cleveland is a wrestling town. You can do an AEW pay-per-view here. How about Full Gear? I don't know.
Last thing I want to talk about before we get into the card itself was after SmackDown went off the air, they did two dark matches. One of them was a very good match between Chad Gable and Braun Strowman. The other one, this is the one I really want to talk about because it was insane. It was the former Judgment Day now, Damian Priest, JD McDonough, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio in an 8-man tag team match against Awesome Truth, Rey Mysterio, and main event Jay Yeet himself, Uso. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because before the match started, Jay Uso kept yeeting, and the crowd kept yeeting, and we kept yeeting. And every time his music would go off, the crowd would chant one more time. And we literally did not stop yeeting for 15 straight minutes. It was one of the most insane things I'd ever seen. At one point, Dominic Mysterio got on the microphone and told the crowd to stop yeeting, to turn off the music, and Damian Priest took the microphone from him, got in the ring, and said, "No, I'm going to yeet with Jey Uso. Play his music again." And we did it again.
I mean, that would have been the first sign of what was to come.
So that was just, again, the whole show was good. That was one of the most entertaining, dark, after the show, if you will, segments I had ever seen. Literally, that crowd went insane. If Jey Uso was on that SummerSlam card, I would have loved to see what First Energy Stadium, I guess Cleveland Browns Stadium now, would have looked like with Jey Uso yeeting.
Hey, before we get into the SummerSlam card itself, did you notice that there were a couple sections up top of Brown Stadium that were blacked off. Did you notice that?
Yes, I did. Um, and for whatever reason, I don't know. Um, but yes, I did notice that.
And the lower bowl where you were looked pretty full, but the upper section, maybe it's because of the blacked out areas, but the upper area just kind of looked empty.
Maybe you had a better view. I did not see that at all. I know my one friend who was in the 500s, he said he got moved to the 300s.
Huh.
So I don't.
I did not see a lot of people in the 500
I
section.
think they moved everybody down, and I think they just blacked off the 500s.
There were a couple sections open in the 500s. I saw fans in there.
Okay, yeah, I don't know exactly what happened. But again, I will tell you that 100% the SmackDown crowd. Again, they usually do tape off some sections for SmackDown inside Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Every single seat to the ceiling was full for SmackDown.
Mm. I do remember for AEW Collision, they did not open the whole seating bowl at the field house. It was only like you couldn't be seated on the hard cam side. I don't know why AEW does it that way, but it was still a pretty good attendance for what was available from what I remember. But nonetheless, let's get into SummerSlam.
You alluded to it. I mean, every match hit. Do we just want to go in order of the matches? How do you want to do it?
Yeah, but first, I want to get your thoughts. What did you like that there was no triple threat matches, no tag team matches, no like trios matches? Did you like that? Or
again, I think for this card, I thought it made sense. I thought the only thing that you could have done is maybe have made Breaker and Sammy a triple threat with Ilya Dragunov, as we talked about. But as I told you when it came to that match, I had a hunch that was going to be the one match that was going to be the quickest match of the night. Breaker was going to beat Sammy quick because they already had their good match of Money in the Bank. And I was right on that.
Yeah, for some reason, I thought maybe they would do like some type of 6-woman tag team match like Jade, Bianca, and Naomi against Alba Font against the tag team champions and Blair Davenport, especially after what happened on SmackDown. I thought maybe there was a chance they would do the rematch between Andrade and Carmelo Hayes at SummerSlam.
What I'll say is I'm glad they did not make any additional new matches to the card. I'll say that because by 11 o'clock, being there for 4 hours, especially after the whole weekend I had, that felt about right.
And for some reason, I kept thinking the show was starting at 8. I had forgotten that WWE had switched it up and made their premium live events start at 7 now. But let's just get right into Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. And you should have heard me and Seaboss throughout this entire match. We kept yelling, Liv Morgan, you are a half-talented Alexa Bliss.
Man. I know that's how you guys feel.
She is.
I disagree with you on that. I think Liv Morgan has really come into her own.
I mean, she's definitely stepped it up as the women's champion. And apparently, that was her third title defense. Who was her first title defense against? I don't actually remember.
It was Becky inside the steel cage. That was the night her and Dom kissed.
Okay.
And then she had one against Zelina Vega. I think it was the Raw either before. No, I think it was the Raw before Money in the Bank.
Okay. For some reason, I forgot about that Becky Lynch steel cage match. But I'm actually a little bit surprised that this was just a regular singles match. I thought maybe it would be a no DQ match only because of the build up to it, the fact that they had injured each other with Rhea putting Liv's arm in a chair and just stomping down on it. You had Liv throwing Rhea into a wall. So I thought that might turn it into a no DQ match, but nonetheless, a steel chair still got involved.
Yes,
And
it did. Now, obviously, we all saw Dom try to take away the chair from Rhea. Now, again, I had predicted that Dom was going to cost Rhea the match in that sort of way. I did not think, though, they were going to go through with the full heel turn yet, as I talked about last week on Championship Rings. And when Dom distracted the ref, obviously being in the stadium and not in the commentary, I was confused as to whether that was the turn or whether he was distracting Liv or trying to distract Liv. I didn't know what was going on. Obviously, I knew Liv had won and hit the Oblivion. And then obviously it became clear when, if I could quote Pat McAfee, that piece of shit, Dominic Mysterio, kissed Liv Morgan.
I mean, it's funny you call it a heel turn because Dom was already a heel. So what was this, a double heel turn essentially?
Somebody said it on Twitter. I don't have the username. I apologize, or I would pull it up. It said Dominic Mysterio is the first person in the history of WWE to be a heel and turn even more heel.
I mean, we all knew it was coming, but the way they executed it was perfect. And as soon as that happened, you knew Damian Priest was going to lose his title later in the night.
We all called it right there. I was with my brother, I was with my best friend, and I was with my cousin. All three of those people I was with don't watch wrestling intently. They may watch a premium live event here or there, but they don't really follow the product. They all even knew right then and there because I was filling them in on all the storylines, obviously leading up weeks to the show, and we all knew right then and there what was going to happen.
Yes. And then we get to Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn. Apparently, this match was supposed to go longer and be more like 10 minutes, but they just decided they had done all their hits, so they just kept it to 5. I thought it was going to be a little more even, given, how they presented Sami Zayn and the fact that they had a really good match at Money in the Bank. But no, they let Sami Zayn hit a couple moves, including the least devastating move in all of professional wrestling, the Blue Thunder Bomb, which basically never beats anyone except if you're.
Sammy's won one match for that move.
Yes, and you didn't let me finish. I was going to say it never beats anyone unless your name is JD McDonut. So, but otherwise, it is what it is. And I think the reason they did this is because Roman Reigns is back on SmackDown. Spoiler alert in case you haven't watched the show. And it's going to end up being OG Bloodline versus the new Bloodline at Survivor Series War Games. And so Roman needs to get the band back together. So Jay and Sammy, they're going to move over to SmackDown. Jimmy's going to return. There you go. I don't know who the 5th member is going to be, but that's clearly the direction we're going.
It's going to happen very slowly. And, if you want to keep it to 4-on-4, Solo, Jacob Fatu, and Tungaloa, and all those, you could. If they do go to a 5th member, and again, we're getting way off track here, but they do go to a 5th member, I already have it in mind.
I already know who the 5th member would be for the new Bloodline, the final boss.
And that's why Roman's 5th member would be the current undisputed WWE champion.
Ooh. I would have. Zilla Fatu was in the crowd, so I was thinking he would be the 5th man, but I could see Cody being that 5th man, I guess. But anyway, so that was the first title change. Then we get to the next match and our second title change.
And what, in my opinion, may have been the best match of the night.
The way this started was hilarious. Logan Paul in his hometown gets the shit booed out of him. It was hilarious. But then again, as a Clevelander, I don't claim either of the Paul brothers. I only claim Dolph Ziggler, now known as Nick Nemeth, Johnny Gargano, and The Miz. I don't claim either of the Paul brothers. No thanks. They're not from Cleveland.
I was laughing so hard when LA Knight, the SmackDown before, said, Logan, you have a Westlake High School education. You're a dummy. Yeah, because Westlake High School was 10 minutes away from my house.
And I love that Logan Paul's like, I'm gonna drop a banner and it's gonna hang here in Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. And the whole banner at SmackDown just says, yeah.
And I am convinced, again, it's very close, but I think the pop LA Knight got on SmackDown might be a touch bigger than the pop Cody got to kick off that show. It was thunderous in that arena, just like it was at SmackDown. Or at SummerSlam, I mean.
Which, that was funny. But what I really liked about this match is they just said, nah, we're not waiting for the bell to ring. Let's just, beat each other up now. Which included LA Knight just driving the prime cart right into Logan Paul.
Yes.
The one issue I had with that is on the camp. You know how they had I think it was LA Knight
sponsor on the mat.
No, not that. Do you remember when they had LA Knight driving Logan Paul's head into the announce desk?
Yes, and it was the fakest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, I hated that they showed the camera angle where Logan Paul's head was not even close to the announce desk.
I wasn't even touching it.
I'm like, why would you show that camera angle? You ruined the effect of that. So that was like my main big issue with SummerSlam. Was I know that's a small thing, but I'm just like, no, don't do that. Like,
well, so for the record, by the way, as well, after the show when we finally got out of there, they were giving away. I don't know who had them. Some fans were giving away free Prime bottles and Coors, and we ended up getting a Prime. I forgot what the flavor is. It's a red bottle. I tried Prime for the first time. I gotta say, Logan Paul, I give you an A+ for that.
Yeah. So I hope Logan Paul gets a long title reign as the United States champion.
You mean LA Knight? Yeah.
That's what I said.
No, you said Logan Paul.
Oh, my apologies. I meant LA Knight. In fact, I think all of our new champions that we crowned are going to get long title reigns. Some of them might even be champions going into WrestleMania. I could see some of them even being champion going into SummerSlam next year.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
But anyway, like, I feel like LA Knight and Logan Paul had chemistry class together in high school or something. Not actually, but
they've been building this match up for like over a year. They've worked together before this one-on-one feud.
Yeah, because they were in that triple threat match with Santos Escobar.
And don't forget, they had a mini feud going into Money in the Bank last year. Remember, people thought instead of Ricochet, Logan Paul and LA Knight was going to be last year's SummerSlam?
Yes. Is everything okay outside your house?
Yeah, I didn't know if you could hear that. That's from the storm and ambulances going by. Somebody must have got hurt outside. Apologies for that.
Yes, I can hear that very much so. But nonetheless, yeah, these two must have had chemistry class together because they were so good together in the ring. Oh, my God. rope like moonsault that Logan Paul hit to the outside on LA Knight was mwah,
Pure perfection.
it was. You may not like Logan Paul, but you can't deny he does great work in the ring.
And that's what I've always said. And by the way, ever since he's turned heel, he's been a completely different wrestler, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, he's been so much better as a heel. I'm I hope that like he goes into some type of like personal feud. Like I loved his feud with Seth Rollins last year going to WrestleMania.
It was really
Um
cool. I could
so
see. I think he's gonna work with Cena one time next year.
so that's the type of feud I want from Logan Paul now that he's not United States champion. I'm not saying he has to feud with Seth Rollins again, but that type of feud, if you get what I mean.
Yep. So let's go to the next match, which I hate to say it, but if you were in that stadium, I think you realized it was probably most people's bathroom break for the night. Because most people left during this match. I don't know. I felt like half the stadium was empty for Nia Jax winning the women's championship from Bayley, which had its moments. It was really an okay match. Again, that was the one match the crowd really just felt dead for.
I mean, I think the loudest pop in that match was when we heard it's Tippy time.
And she should have absolutely cashed in. It was the only thing on this whole show I got wrong. I predicted Nia to win the title, and I thought Tippy was going to stab her in the back and cash in the briefcase. And damn it, she should have.
We kept waiting for her to do it. Like all of us in the lows were like, "Come on, Tippy, do it, do it!" And then she just did it. So they're gonna play out this whole story of, "You're not gonna cash in on me, are you?" Oh no, 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 no. Yeah,
I think she is already the second longest woman's Money in the Bank briefcase holder in history behind Carmella.
I don't know. But yeah, if I had to pick a favorite moment of this or favorite spot of this match, it was when Bayley delivered that power bomb on Nia.
That was incredible.
Yes, but I feel so bad for Bayley because, like, it's exactly what we talked about last week on championship rings, and it's the same problem with Cody Rhodes. It's what you've been saying. Once she won the title at WrestleMania, it was like, okay, now what? Like, she really didn't have a legit feud as champion.
I think the same problem's going to happen with Nia.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. The SmackDown Women's division is just kind of meh, and I'm a little bit concerned. The same thing is gonna happen with the Raw Women's division. Once this feud with Rhea Ripley is over, who's gonna really challenge Liv Morgan?
I think there's three returns that could potentially happen. Now, obviously, one we've already seen, so it's not going to be a title feud, but I think it's going to obviously boost the division. That's going to be when Becky Lynch gets back. The other two, one of them is the woman who you alluded to earlier when calling Liv Morgan basically a knockoff of her. That's Alexa Bliss. Now, does Bliss get involved with the Wyatt Six or does she not? We don't know. But I think she could definitely add a punch to that women's division. And the last one, a girl we have not seen now for almost a year, the Queen.
Oh God, no, she doesn't need to be in the title picture. No.
You're telling me you wouldn't want to see a Charlotte Liv Morgan or even a Charlotte, I would say Tiffany Stratton feud?
She's been in the title scene so many times. Like that well's gonna dry up at some point, and fans are just gonna be like, "Yeah, I don't care."
Well, I think they'll cross that bridge when we get there. Let's
Right.
talk Punk, McIntyre, Rollins.
I thought this was gonna be have more shenanigans to it in terms of like chair spots and like table spots and things like that. But the storytelling in this match was just breathtaking. Like Punk had the pin, but he got so obsessed with that bracelet. And Seth Rollins was just trying to do the right thing. And that's why he had the bracelet on. But Punk saw it, and I thought his eyes were going to jump out of his head when he saw that bracelet on Seth Rollins' wrist. Like, the fact that they have turned an inanimate object, like a bracelet, into the center point of the story, I'm just like, yep, totally makes sense. I'm into it.
I think my favorite part of this whole match was very early on when Punk and McIntyre were fighting on the outside. And I could see perfectly Seth Rollins, he's pretty much staring right at me, sitting on the top turnbuckle, just watching them fight.
We've got to be building to like a triple threat match between the three of them
Yes.
somewhere down the line. I don't know when, I I don't know where, but it's got to be happening. And it doesn't need a title. It could just be a triple threat match because all three hate each other.
Yes. And again, I thought, as we talked about, if there was going to be a winner, it was going to be Drew. I thought there was a small chance Rollins curb stomps them both and walks out, which I thought would have been a really cool spot to do. But they stayed true to the stipulation, which is something WWE does not do. And I have to realize that this is a new administration, and I should not expect for every match to end the same way the other booker used to book everything.
I mean, there's been a good amount of DQs lately on Monday Night Raw. So I wouldn't entirely say that's true.
Yeah, but I guess there's different ways of booking things. Um, there's a difference between interfering in no match and interfering and there's still a result.
Yeah.
Es- Especially in a personal feud like this one, where you could have very easily just had Rollins get involved with both and, do his own thing. But he stayed true to the rules, which I like.
Yes. And I also liked that they went back to, I think it was which SummerSlam match was it where there was a special guest referee?
They said.
Yes. And it was Rollins was going to do the chair shot, and he's like, no.
I also loved it when Drew got the chair from Rollins and asked him if he could use it on Punk.
Here's my thing, because you can't really hear that throughout the stadium, so I kind of wish like the wrestlers were mic'd up so you could hear like those little things throughout the.
I'll say that after the show, go on WWE's Twitter. They put out a video of Seth Rollins mic'd up with the ref cam. It's absolutely hilarious.
I'll have to take a look, but I feel like sometimes you miss that kind of stuff since you can't hear everything the wrestlers are saying to each other if they don't have a microphone in their hand. I'm like, I want to hear some of this little chatter and stuff.
All right, let's get to the World Championship match. Priest and Gunther, they threw bombs at each other. We already alluded to it. Damian Priest hits a South of Evan choke slam on the ring general. 1, 2, and Finn Balor puts his foot on the rope. Now, what I loved about the ending of this match was not just that. I love the fact that Gunther then grabbed Priest, put him in a sleeper hold. At that point, I was like, oh, Priest is out. That's it. Ring the bell. The referee was not ringing the bell, and I was like, what's happening? And then you see Priest start to rise. You see him do, a flip, a jackknife backwards cover, get Gunther on his head. 1, 2, and for that split second, they make you believe there's a chance Priest could steal the title, and keep it from Gunther. And then when Gunther kicks out, Priest goes after Balor, has him by the throat. Gunther then will deliver not only a power bomb, then he puts him right back in the sleeper hold, and Priest fights valiantly. It takes a while, but he passes out. I thought the ending sequence to that match, you couldn't have booked it better myself.
The one thing you forgot to leave out is that once Finn Balor did what he did by putting Gunther's foot on the bottom rope to make sure that to ensure that, how do I want to say this? In order to tell you that Gunther and Finn Balor did not have a pre-plan of this, Gunther just kicked, I believe, if I remember correctly, Gunther just beat the crap out of Finn Balor, didn't he?
That was before he put his foot on the rope.
Oh, right. Like there was no partnership between Balor and Gunther. So I did like that they threw that wrinkle in just to tell you, yeah, they're not in cahoots with each other. Like Balor's not doing this for Gunther. Balor's doing it to purely just to screw over Damian Priest.
And the look on Finn Balor's face was, I waited all this time and I finally got my revenge.
And the way he explained his actions last night on Raw, perfect.
Which I'm also laughing because now we technically have Judgment Day 3.0.
Yeah, we do.
With the same entrance music, the same video, the same formation. Have you ever seen a faction rebuild the way the Judgment Day has?
No.
I mean, usually you get a spinoff. I mean, the closest thing I could think of it, and I'm sure I'm sure I'm not thinking of other tag teams, but it's like, when DX was the original Triple H and Shawn and China, then it was, Triple H, X Pac, Road Dogg, and that version. That's the closest thing I could get to. We went from Edge, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley to Finn Balor, Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, and the eventual additions of Dominic, JD, and Carlito, to now the third version, which is Finn, JD, Carlito, Dom, and Liv. And again, the explanation, I agree with you, was absolutely perfect. And I wasn't even sure. I'm glad they made it clear that Carlito is a part of the new Judgment Day, because I thought there was a chance where we didn't know where Carlito was going to stand, and he was going to come into the Judgment Day clubhouse, and there was going to be nobody there.
Yeah. But, all right, let's get
wait. Before we get to the main event, we talked about Rhea and Liv earlier. I want to tell you what I'm thinking of where they're going with the direction with this. I think at Bash in Berlin, we're going to get a mixed tag match. It's going to be Priest and Rhea against Dom and Liv.
Why not Finn?
Because I think Dom, being the girlfriend or whatever of Liv, makes more sense. It could be Finn.
Boyfriend, you mean?
Yeah. It could be Finn. It absolutely could be Finn, but I think either way, we're going to get a mixed tag match. And I think at Bad Blood, Priest and Balor will probably have a match. I don't think that will be Hell in a Cell, but I think Rhea and Liv will have a Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood.
As of right now, I've heard the planned main event for Bad Blood is Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk in a Hell in a Cell match.
I read that today too. I was curious as to why they wouldn't consider doing a triple threat Hell in a Cell with Drew, Punk, and Rollins.
I would think if they do Balor versus Priest, you could justify that being a Hell in a Cell match, and I don't
I
think
don't
there's.
know for your first match in a feud to make it Hell in a Cell though.
So if that's the case, what do they stretch it out to WrestleMania or something?
No, unfortunately, I mean I guess you could. I don't know if Priest and Balor get their moment on a Big Four event.
Well, let's see. We have Bash in Berlin. Then you have Bad Blood. What's
Then
after?
then Saudi Crown Jewel.
Okay,
Then
and
Survivor.
then nothing for December, and
Correct.
then January is Royal Rumble.
Yep.
I think
Yep.
they could do a Hell in a Cell match at the Royal Rumble.
I don't think you want to do it 3 months after you just did one.
Well, I'm saying if they don't do Hell in a Cell for Balor and Priest at Bad Blood,
yeah, but I'm saying in general, they're already going to do one, Punk and McIntyre. They're not going to do another one 3 months later.
I mean, you can't do it at Survivor Series because the double steel cage is already going to be hanging above the ring.
I mean, again, there's a chance there is a chance they stretch this all the way to WrestleMania.
I just don't know how you do it.
I agree with that. Okay, let's get to the main event.
You just want to skip over the segment with Miz, R-Truth, Jelly Roll?
Hey, that was a fun segment, but what is there to talk about? Jelly Roll, chokeslam, Austin Theory.
C-Boss and I, during that segment, were like, wait, are we about to get one of those, like, out-of-the-blue matches? Like, are we about to get an out-of-the-blue tag team match? Or Awesome Truth versus A-Town Down Under?
No, I knew when they entered the ring that it was the attendance announcement. Jelly Roll was going to be involved. It was going to be a quick segment to get to the main event.
Yeah. But think about this for a second. Transitioning to the main event. Cody Rhodes is now 2-0 in Bloodline Rules matches. What the hell?
I think the problem with Bloodline Rules matches is there's going to be interference. So before any interference happens, nothing else matters.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, this is Bloodline Rules. Why are they having a regular wrestling match for like 15 minutes?
When Randy and Kevin Owens came out to make the save, we had saw more security come our way. We at a big open space. There was the floor right below us. We had thought there was a chance that they could go over our barricade, and I would have been right there in the middle of the action. Unfortunately, they went to the other side.
Honestly, after what had happened on SmackDown, I thought there was a chance DIY would get involved in the Bloodline Rules match.
Yes, I agree with that. But obviously, I think the returns that were made were necessary. And obviously, we can just go right to it. I mean, everybody knew it was coming, but when you heard that music, that pop was freaking phenomenal, surreal to be a part of.
I mean, WWE waited 10 years, and they finally got the reaction they wanted for Roman Reigns. 10 years, and they finally got it.
The original tribal chief. And when he did the ooh, I've never heard a stadium so loud. So there were multiple tweets that said I never heard Cleveland Browns Stadium that happy before, even for a Browns win.
Yeah. So I don't think we're totally done with the Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns stuff. I do think they're
this I want to talk about because a lot of people did not pick this up, and I'm pretty sure they did show it on Peacock. Roman pointed at Cody and said, I want my title back.
Yeah, I think this is a case of Cody's going to give Roman a title shot just because he helped him against Solo. And I'm just like, okay, we don't need this trilogy match. No, thank you. But
Still need the trilogy, but the question is, where is it going to be? And I have some sneaky feeling it's going to be at the Royal Rumble.
I think there's a chance they hold off on the Roman Reigns solo Sokoa match until WrestleMania. I think that's a big enough match that it's WrestleMania worthy. I really do.
I think that there is going to be a scenario where The Rock returns and costs Roman Reigns his match against Cody Rhodes. And that's how you get Rock and Roman at WrestleMania 41. Unless they're holding off on it again and they want to do Rock and Cody.
That would be my guess that they're going to do Rock Cody, and that means you can do Solo versus Roman at WrestleMania. I truly believe that is a WrestleMania worthy match.
And
Most people.
I guess my question is Roman and Cody, I think it's inevitable, are going to have Roman Cody free. How do you make it? Like, does Solo screw Roman and then The Rock comes out and attacks Cody and you get both feuds and Cody just puts himself over Roman or something? You do a last man standing match and they're both counted out? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But you would think Roman has to have a match at Bash in Berlin, doesn't he?
Well,
right?
Maybe. I'm under the impression Roman's still not going to be a full-time wrestler.
Huh.
I don't think the tribal chief is going to be around every week.
Yeah, you can do that, but you want to be careful because he got this major reaction for his return at SummerSlam. You don't want to screw that up.
I also don't think he's going to be this beloved, smiling, full-on babyface either. He's going to get the reaction, but I think his motives and his character is going to be a tweener.
I would say he's going to be more of a tweener.
And we need Paul Heyman back. Now, when does that happen? Does that happen Friday? Does that happen at Bash in Berlin, to your point?
Here's my thing, though. Where was Jey Uso? Where was Jimmy Uso during Bloodline Rules?
So I think they're going to start rolling them out very slowly, like a month at a time. Jimmy's going to come back. Then all of a sudden, Jay and Sammy are going to get traded to SmackDown, closer to Survivor Series. And Roman's going to basically be recruiting them to come back and join the family.
I mean, it's interesting you say that because if you remember last night on Raw, they said Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis worked out a deal where Grayson Waller and Austin Theory are on Raw now, seemingly, and two people got traded to SmackDown, but they didn't say who.
I took it as they made out a deal for Theory and Waller to appear for one night. And also they made a deal for Randy Orton to face Gunther at Bash in Berlin. So maybe the deal was just Sammy and Jey Uso can go to SmackDown to join Roman for this Bloodline match.
Huh. But I want to talk about the Randy Orton Gunther thing for a minute. I didn't think that would be Gunther's first title feud coming out of SummerSlam. I thought they would save that for one of the big four because of the way their match ended at King and Queen of the Ring. I thought you could turn that into a feud that's big enough for a Royal Rumble. Maybe not a WrestleMania, but one of the big four.
Well, in a way, this is Gunther's big feud because this is in his home country.
He's from Austria, not Germany.
Yeah, but basically. That's pretty much it's part of the country.
So what I'm hoping is once his Randy feud is done, they have other contenders for Gunther, because it can't be like, oh, we're just gonna throw some random guy at Gunther and try and turn it into a feud. No, don't do that.
I'm sure Gunther will be the champion for at least till WrestleMania, and I feel that way about Braun Breaker too. So good luck. So as somebody said after SummerSlam, good luck to the men's side of the Raw roster.
Yeah, I could see Nia having a pretty lengthy title reign also.
I think Nia is probably only going to be a couple months. I think Tiffy's going to cash in here by fall. October,
Probably. But we'll see.